All right, so I'm here with Jennifer Marabella, and so what exactly do you do for a living?
So I'm a social worker. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I work at an agency that does community support for individuals living with severe mental illness diagnoses. The people who I support, my clients, typically they are adults, usually in their 30s or 40s, sometimes older, sometimes younger, and they have had an episode of a severe mental illness in their life that has pretty much disrupted their trajectory.
So how much roughly do you make in a year?
I make about 55,000 a year.
What kind of challenges has the virus proposed for you? Like, how has it made everything more difficult?
It has completely upended our work. My clients are people who are 90% of my clients are receiving disability benefits from the government. They need support and accompaniment with so many things in their lives: food shopping, socializing, interview practice for a job, finding a job, etc. And I can't go and see my clients face to face. It's not just because I'm afraid about getting sick, but if I get sick and I don't know that I'm symptomatic and I'm seeing 15 people over the course of a week, I could infect the most vulnerable people in our population, and I can't do that.
Do you know anyone in your job who has been specifically affected?
At a time like this where our revenues are down, you have to lay some people off.
How do you think things will be once the virus passes over? Do you think everything can go back like the exact same way it was? Or
I think a lot of people are going to need to heal from this. I think, I work in the mental health field, so I know how situations like this really take a toll on people's mental well-being. This is a huge stress we're all under, and I think we'll actually be feeling the aftershocks of that for some time. I can tell you that a lot of folks I support who really do have the intelligence and would have the skills to be able to connect and use technology more to connect, like Zoom phone calls or online meetings or whatever, haven't been able to do that right now because nobody showed them how to do it with their smartphone right now. Or actually, a lot of them can't even afford a smartphone, which is unbelievable. I think I appreciate having opportunities to do an interview like this with you, where you're doing some work for a class that gives me a chance to stop and be introspective for a minute, and also helps me see that just about everybody, even though we're under a lot of constraints right now, are still trying to move forward and live our lives and get things done. So that actually makes me feel better during what is a very stressful experience. So thanks for that.
all right, thanks for having us.
Great.
Please state your name and occupation.
My name is Mike, and I'm a strength and conditioning coach.
Okay, so first question. What is your own mental state during this epidemic?
Pretty good. I would say it's pretty good. It's, trying to get along with the different rules or the news that's coming up every single day to make sure that you're not putting yourself or any of your loved ones in harm's way. So I would say diligently just trying to pay attention, stay calm, and do all the things that the CDC and state leaders are requiring us to do.
Has being forced to self-quarantine affected you or your family at all?
It has a little bit, but nothing to the point of some people.
Do you think that it is inevitable that everyone's going to eventually get the coronavirus?
But the last I've heard, I believe the last report, Dr. Fauci had said that he expects somewhere in the neighborhood of potentially 80% of the population to get some variation of the virus, and that they also believe that there might be somewhere up to 8 strands of the virus. And so I guess it just remains to be seen how well we can handle it with self-isolation. If the federal government decides to kick into gear and start helping states a little bit more, maybe we can contain it so it's the number is a lot less than that, hopefully. But all we can do is be optimistic.
So recently, Gail Gadot and a few other A-list celebs got together to cover Imagine by John Lennon to lift people's spirits. However, they faced backlash as some people said that they didn't know what the struggle was like since they have resources that no one else has to survive, and they didn't have to worry about losing their jobs or waiting for testing like others did. Do you think that's a fair criticism?
I think people are trying to help the best way that they can. Can you say that they're out of touch? Yeah, they probably are out of touch. You know, a lot of people with a great deal of resources and living more of an extravagant lifestyle tend to be a lot more out of touch than, you know, from the people who are working day to day, paycheck to paycheck. But I think it's at least noteworthy that they're trying to help and trying to be inspirational and trying to be positive and get us through. These are difficult times and they're uncertain times. And we a lot of times look to athletes or movie stars, sometimes political leaders as inspiration and trying to get us from one day to the next. And so maybe they're out of touch a little bit, but I think their heart was in the right place. So, you know, give them a break.
Last week, before all the bars and restaurants and beaches closed, some reporters interviewed some spring breakers down at the packed Clearwater Beach in Florida and asked them why they were there and if they were worried about getting the virus. One of them, named Brady Sluder, said, "If I get the coronavirus, I get the coronavirus. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying." What would you say to Sluder if he were here right now?
And I think what I would say to Sluder is to maybe spend some time volunteering in emergency rooms, maybe in ICUs, and seeing what people are going through, having a real tangible, visual, human experience in that environment to see the stress, to feel the stress, to see what families are going through.
How do you feel the state of Massachusetts is handling the situation, and are they doing a good enough job?
I think they're doing a pretty good job. They've canceled schools pretty quickly. They were pretty quick as far as getting information out as soon as possible. I think Governor Baker's done a pretty good job bringing in experts, explaining and answering questions and doing the things that they need to do. With us being the medical and educational capital of the world, I think I would expect nothing less. So I'm pretty happy.
Okay, thank you.